Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free!
Buy now at labara.co.uk.
So hello and welcome back to our final event of the second day of the British National Diving Cup of 2022. You're joined again by me, Jack Haslam. This time we have another co-commentator. I'm very happy to say we are joined by James Heatley. Hello James, thanks for joining us.
Hiya, thanks for having me, Jack.
So you've now finished for the weekend. How do you feel it's gone for you?
I mean, I am knackered, but I'm really happy. Yesterday was a really good day, gold on one, and then Ross and I came second in Synchro, and then I won the prelim this morning, and then a few mistakes in that final, but overall looking forward to the rest of the season and the rest of the cycle. It's looking good.
Absolutely. So, as you can see on your screen, we have our parade for the divers. Our first team are Deshaun Ben Ashmill from London Dive Aquatics and Amy Rollinson from Luton. Second, and a new pair, which we're excited to see, are Grace Reed and Scarlett Mew Jensen from Dive London. Third, as we've just seen, Maya Cutty from Southampton Diving Club and Callie Eagleston from City of Leeds Diving Club. Our current pair waving right there, Tilly Brown from Southampton and Evie Smith from Crystal Palace. And our last pair, Yasmin Harper from City of Sheffield Diving Club and Catherine Torrance from City of Leeds Diving Club. So James, who's your money on this afternoon?
I mean, I think it'll be an exciting one, but you've obviously got Grace and Scarlett, who have got some big dives in their full pike list. You've got same with Catherine and Yasmin, so two new pairs, two very experienced pairs. So I think that they're the ones to keep an eye out for, but you can't, diving's one of them sports, you can't always call it, so we'll see what these younger girls are up for.
Of course, so you mentioned Grace and Scarlett there, obviously both competed with you at the Tokyo Olympic Games last year. Yeah. How was your experience of your first Olympic Games?
I mean, it was amazing, but I guess it was an odd Games, wasn't it, for everybody, so it would be nice to go back and do it without all the restrictions, but I mean, it was just incredible.
Yeah, you had an amazing year last year. I think we mentioned during your event, you seem to have increased the degree of difficulty massively over the last couple of years, but your consistency has still remained relatively as much as it can do with those big dives. You also increased your degree of difficulty again today with the back 3.5. That's a dive you've been working on?
Yeah, I've kind of been hurling myself off this 3 meter for a few years with all these dives, and back's been the last one that I've been really struggling with it for the last few years, but we've decided that leading into Paris it's time to give it a real good crack. But Yeah, the list is getting harder, and especially in a morning prelim, those dives aren't fun.
Yeah, no, I can vouch for some of the easier dives, even never mind about those ones. I mean, we're saying back 3.5, 3.6. It almost doesn't give it justification, does it? That
Oh,
amount
it's
of
not fair.
No.
It deserves so much more.
Yeah, it's a very hard dive. You've got to do all the work with your own legs. You can't let the board help you from a hurdle step either.
Yeah. If you break to any technique, you are screwed.
Yeah. So in this event, again, we've got Yasmin Harper and Catherine Torrance. Catherine was doing synchro with Grace Reed. The British diving team have chosen to split those pairing up and pair Grace and Scarlett. Bit of a hard hitter that maybe for Catherine. I know in the past I have had that experience of being taken out of a synchro team, but I end up in a synchro team with my brother, which I couldn't have asked for more really. So it's an opportunity for Catherine and Yasmin to really show what they're made of against Grace and Scarlett. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Grace and Catherine have been together for a long time now, so I'm sure it'll be weird for the two of them being in the same competition but not together.
Yeah.
It'll be strange, but I guess there's the added benefit. Grace and Scarlett are in London together, so they can train a bit more consistently. Yaz and Catherine, although it's Leeds and Sheffield, they're a bit closer, so
Yeah.
I think it's exciting. A new season, a fresh team. See what the girls have got.
Yeah, absolutely. We've obviously got some juniors in there as well. All the junior teams actually compete at represent different clubs. So you just mentioned there, bit of a challenge to do your synchro training whilst you're still in completely different areas.
Yeah.
So I think we're just about ready to kick off the competition. The judges are in their seats. We have Deshawn and Amy on the board. Both represented Great Britain at the European Championships. Junior elites earlier on this year, Amy and Deshawn won with a score of 263. So they will be aiming to better that today, I guess. In the junior events, usually the requireds and optionals are both done in individual as well as in the synchro events. However, the synchro events are actually the same as the senior nationals, which is a difference from the individual events. So they'll get to compete the same list as they did at the elites. We have a bit of a mix of dives ranging from 2.7 to 3.1 in the optionals. Of course, the first two dives have a maximum degree of difficulty of 2.0. So you can choose any dive, but you will be capped at that 2.0 degree of difficulty. All of our divers have to cover every group, so forward, back, reverse, inward and twist. And the competition is ready to go. Deshawn and Amy kicking us off with a forward 1.5 somersaults pike. So they're both juniors, but they're both quite experienced already. They've been to this event a couple of times, and both very strong girls too.
Yeah, you can see with the optionals they're going to be using, chucking the pike dives in.
And a very nice start too.
Yeah, nice. Two very clean entries. Good work from the two girls there.
Yeah, you did the synchro event with Ross yesterday. On the required dives, what are you looking for?
I think a really good required, you'll want to be hitting that 50 marks over the two. You'll be aiming for the 100.
Yeah.
But I guess consistency is the aim of the game. So, I mean, that's a good solid start for them. Nothing, not a major drop, nothing special.
Yeah, I think getting into the competition, you settle your nerves with these requireds, don't you? And then the harder dives come towards the back end of the list.
I personally find the required so much more stressful
Oh,
and
really?
nerve-wracking than the optionals.
That's interesting. Grace Reed and Scarlett Lee Jensen with a back dive pike. Very nice
lovely.
synchro.
Lovely. Yeah, a good opener for them as a team for the rest of their career in the season.
Absolutely. You just mentioned that 50-point mark, and we have our first 50-point mark. 50.4 from the girls, so I'm sure they'll be very happy with that start. Great
it's
synchro.
nice to see a 9 to count.
Yeah, it is, yes. So, Maya and Callie, as we've previously alluded to, train at different pools, Southampton and at Leeds, so opposite ends of the country. Forward 1.5 somersaults pike.
Oh, lovely timing. Considering that they don't train in the same centre, they're obviously putting in the time and making it work. That's a lovely opener for the two of them.
Yeah, very nice entries from both of them. Callie on the 1 metre showed her class with her entries. Sometimes just maybe didn't quite have the starts that she would like to get those rip entries in.
But like you mentioned, they're so young, so this is just such good experience for them.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're here with seasoned pros such as Grace Reed, who's been at this event and won this event many times, great to learn off those guys. So our fourth team, Tilly and Evie. Another pairing training at different clubs.
Nice, the timing was pretty good, but you can see that there's a bit of difference on the distances from the board.
Yeah, so the judges will pick up on that. The Synchro judges' marks are actually an overall impression mark now, rather than the just pure Synchro. So if both divers are bang together, but neither dive's perfect, then they won't be able to get those top marks.
Yeah. Those are the good days when you'd be able to get away with a good synchronized roll onto your back.
Yeah.
Not so fortunate for that anymore.
So, our other new pair, Yasmin and Catherine. City of Sheffield and City of Leeds diving respectively, with an inward dive pike. Very nice.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to see that they got a similar timing coming out of the pike shape.
Yeah, that's one of the hard things about the simple dives, isn't it?
Yeah.
You obviously got lots of time to do the dive, so the timing of when you move your arms or when you're coming in and out of your pike shape is one of the challenges of the required.
There's more time for it to go wrong. That's what you're saying.
I think, are we going to get our results potentially from the first round? I'm not quite sure if they're going to come up on the screen. Yep, here we go. So after one round, we mentioned that 50-point mark is a good landmark for these guys to hit. So Grace and Scarlett hit that just slightly behind for Yasmin and Catherine, and then with 48 points in third place is Maya and Callie.
Those were some powerful hurdles. That
Yeah.
was some great board work from the two of them.
Both miles up in the air.
Yeah.
And both actually quite nice dives, just slightly out in the balances again. I think you already mentioned that in one of the
Again,
previous
Deshaun
dives.
was a little more forward there.
Yeah, so that's why we're going to see a 43.8, not quite up to that 50-point mark we've been saying is the aim for some of these dives. But like you said, so powerful. It'd be interesting to see those optionals from those two girls. Grace and Scarlett, the same dive.
Oh, Scarlett was a bit lucky there, wasn't she?
She did well to save that, didn't she?
Yeah. I think that's just where the experience comes in. I mean, Scarlett, although she's still so young, she's got so much experience behind her that she can do something like that and recover nicely.
Yeah, she was about a foot off the end of the board there, but managed to be patient. Yeah. Luckily, it was on the required dive. I think if it was on one of her harder optional dives, it might have been a bit more of a struggle, eh?
Yeah.
And Maya and Callie with a standing start, so a little bit less to have in synchro. Always nice.
Those hurdles are always shaky. But if you're going to do the standing requireds, you've got to be ready for them hurdle optionals.
Yeah, that is very true. So girls slightly out in the synchro there. Just mistimed their rocks when they start, so normally the divers will just count themselves in. 1, 2, 3, go, and then it's down to each of them to do their own dives. Generally, you try not to focus too much on your partner. Would you agree with that, James?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're worried about getting the synchro in time, you're probably not ready to compete. So the training should be done before this. So you just need to 3, 2, 1, go. Trust that your partner's going to do the same thing.
Ooh, I like the synchro there.
Yeah. They got a lovely sound on the entry there, that really good flat palm noise.
Again, everything in the dive looked bang in time, just slightly out with the balances, which the judges have just penalised them a little bit for that. But I really enjoyed the pike to dish was bang in time, so nice dive from the girls. Yasmin and Catherine
opting for the forward dive.
Yes, it's interesting. We've seen the forward 1.5. They're opting for just doing a dive, which is technically easier.
Technically.
Another nice dive.
Yeah. You can see, like, Catherine and Yaz have clearly gone for the forward inward option required because they're both much more comfortable with the back and reverse spinning optionals.
Yeah, which is interesting because I think a lot of girls tend to do the opposite.
Yeah.
I think Scarlett, she much prefers her forward spinning dives. She's normally much more aware on those dives. So it is interesting that they are quite different in the back and reverse being their favourite optionals.
I think that's what will be exciting to see, how these two teams fare in this event, with Grace and Scarlett being much more comfortable with the front and inward, Yaz and Catherine preferring the back and reverse. So it'll be interesting. I mean, we've obviously just finished the requires with that 2.0 cap, so time for the optionals, time to have some fun.
Now is where the competition really starts, isn't it?
Yeah.
The optionals usually, the requires usually is just to get a few points lead, and then this is where you see the real difference in the scores.
You're not going to see a big gap after the requireds. Just stay in with the pack. If you want to make a play, now's the time.
So first the optionals, 3.0. And a good start from the girls. Great synchro.
It's good to see these younger girls attempting these pike optionals. I feel like inward 2.5 pikes being a dive that has almost been that Achilles heel for some of our British girls in the past. So the fact that these two younger girls are giving it a good crack, and very respectively too.
Yeah, I think that's
so
a very
good
good
to
point. Like you said, inward 2.5 pike is a really hard dive for these girls. It's one where your feet come close to the board. So some of the girls could get a little bit nervy about that and not attack it quite as much. But we've seen there, Deshawn and Amy both comfortably making that dive. And now, Grace and Scarlett with the same dive. Very
lovely.
similar.
Yeah.
Very nice synchro. Both, maybe Scarlett a little bit better on the entry than we've seen.
Yeah, they're both such powerful divers and got such a great takeoff, but looks like they just overcooked it a little bit, not quite ready for that entry.
Neither of them got that quite rip entry that we've seen from them many times in the past, but another good dive. Not going to be too much between them. They obviously had a bit of an advantage after the required, so they're 12 points in front of Deshawn and Amy. So a bit of a different dive here. Back to some sorts tucked. So the C in the 205C represents a tuck shape. The B represents a pike shape.
A little out of time, but it kind of came back together, didn't it?
Yeah, there's clearly difference between the jump heights between the girls on that dive. So even though they started off a little bit out of time, they came together a little bit at the end and both landed on the water at the same time. Like we said, that overall impression mark, however, might be just influenced by that. On to Tilly and Evie. Another inward 2.5 somersaults, this time in the tuck position. So this means it takes the degree of difficulty from a 3.0 down to a 2.7. So it is a little bit of a drop. So execution is very important.
Oh, bless her.
Not nice when that happens in a competition. They just got a little bit lost in the air and just came out of that tuck shape very late. So unfortunately, she's gone flying over onto her back. It's a real shame there.
Still got 2 rounds though, so it'll be interesting to see how they.
That's the challenge now, isn't it? If you drop a dive, like you said earlier when you did your back 3.5, didn't quite go as to plan, but remain focused. 4 more dives left and hit every one of them.
Exactly, and I think it's very important that a competition's not won with one dive. We've got 6 for the men, 5 for the women, so it's not over till it's over.
Nice dive from Yasmin and Catherine. Forward 2.5 somersaults with 1 twist. Both executing them very nicely.
The flick timing with the twist was spot on there.
There's some big support from their teammates in the crowd, of course. We haven't got any spectators in the stands for this
Team
event,
Yorkshire
unfortunately.
making some noise.
Yeah, Team Yorkshire. 55.8. It's not too bad. 4.5 from execution judge 2. Wasn't too pleased with it. Leaves them 14 points behind Grace and Scarlett in first place. So we've got a little bit of a gap. 1 point between Deshawn and Amy, and Yasmin and Catherine. I think we're about to see those results on the screen. So here we go, here is our leaderboard. Slight gap open up at the top there.
Yeah, you can see now that the requireds are done in that first round of optionals, they're starting to see a bit of a gap between first and fifth.
Yeah, Amy and Deshawn, their requireds were slightly behind Grace and Scarlett, but they did do a very nice inward 2.5 in that first optional round. Onto the forward 2.5 somersaults with 1 twist. Ooh. Very nice from both the girls.
I
Great
kind of
rip
thought
entries.
they were both going to go a bit short there, but that repike there just before the entry, they both buried down into that and managed to find their hands. Very impressive. Well done, girls.
Very good. 68 points, a big score.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see there 8s to count from the Synchro judges. And
everybody loves an underdog.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like we said, they won the Junior Elites last year. They both represented Great Britain at the Junior Europeans as well, where we've seen Amy get a bronze medal. Ooh.
Grace got a bit more height there, but not quite judging that entry right. Stretching forward a bit too hard.
Just landing a little bit short of vertical. It's a lot of dive to fit in for these girls. That's the highest degree of difficulty dive in the event at 3.1. But they've got away with it a little bit with 53 points.
Yeah.
However, they are now 2 points behind Sean and Amy. So going into the last round, Sean and Amy doing a back 2.5, and Grace and Scarlett doing a full out. That's a nice dive from Callie on the far side. Good, clean rip entry.
The timing overall was a lot better on that than it was on the back 2.5 in the previous round, but yeah, with Maya going over there, it's just bringing that overall impression on the Synchro down.
Yeah, like you said, both spinning the same speed that time. So the Synchro in the spin speed was good, unfortunately, with one of them landing slightly short and then the other slightly over as well. That's going to bring the Synchro marks down. So Tilly and Evie had a slight drop in the last round, unfortunately, on the 2.5. So important to try and regain that focus. And very well recovered.
Lovely.
Very, very impressive. To do it in with 2.5 and land on your back, and you're still spinning forwards on this one, but absolutely nailing those entries.
Yeah.
Very nice diving.
Sometimes dives in competitions like that can really settle your nerves, so I'm sure going into tomorrow she's hopefully going to feel a bit more settled, because that was a great comeback.
Yeah, very important not to let it get to you too much. Almost takes the pressure off sometimes, doesn't it, if you drop a dive and allows your nerves just to move aside a little bit. So Yasmin and Catherine in 3rd place after 3 rounds. Back 2.5 somersaults pike. Pretty good, pretty good.
They've got a very similar style where they like to sort of whip it off. I'd like to see them sort of use their legs and jump a bit more, and then they like to go for the bendy banana back entry, but they've both found their hands, so 62 points, consistent.
Absolutely, 62 points. Still in 3rd place, but they have gained some ground. Only 7 points behind Amy and Deshawn in 1st place, and just 5 points behind Grace and Scarlett. In 4th place, we've got Maya and Callie, and in 5th place, we have Tilly and Evie. So a little bit further behind the pack for Callie and Maya. Got a lot of work to do to get into those medals, but diving,
yeah,
a lot can happen. So our leaders after 4 rounds. Sean and Amy finishing off with a back 2.5 somersaults pike.
They've opted to not go for that hurdle finisher. Nice steady standing dive.
Say that with a smile on your face. Is that something you are a fan of?
That's
very nice. It's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
Going to be
Hear
very
the
tough
London
to beat.
support there.
Yeah, you can
They
hear.
liked it.
You can hear their London teammates.
291.
London and Luton for Deshaun and Amy respectively. Great diving.
291's a score that's going to place you well internationally on the senior level, so amazing.
Absolutely, pressure on. Europeans last year, 291 was actually a bronze medal. So that's a big score. Grace and Catherine got 269 at the Olympics. So again, that's an amazing score for those girls. Oh, very nice dives
Lovely.
from both the girls. The synchro slightly out.
Yeah, I heard a lot of noise on the board from one of them. I want to say Grace maybe stamped that down a bit because she went a bit forward.
So it looks, at the moment,
Oh.
we may have a new British champion pairing.
But
Deshaun and
you've got
Amy.
to remember that's their first outing as a team, so all they're going to be able to do is improve from this point. So it's a nice starting block.
Absolutely, it's great to see that we've got, well, at the top three pairs looking like they're going to get a good score as well. And then these two other pairs that obviously both young, great experience for them in this event. A good dive to finish on.
Yeah, well done, girls. That was good.
Yeah, full out. It's quite a lot of dive at 3.0, so some of these girls to be doing that, still in their junior competitions.
This
Got
is an
plenty
event
of
that there's
years.
not normally a lot of depth in either, so it's quite nice to see 5 strong teams putting the list together.
I would definitely agree with that. And obviously with mixing up of the pairs as well, it's interesting. Tilly and Evie finish with the same dive, 4 2.5 somersaults with 1 twist in the pike position. Oh, it looks so good up
Yeah.
until the very last second.
Such a strong takeoff.
Yeah, look at the synchro as well, very nice. Just
Stretching
was a
too
bit
far
unsure of where the
forward.
water was.
Yeah.
He thought the water was placed a little bit further forward and left it a little bit on her nose.
But they're still smiling.
Yeah, that's important. Important
Well
that you
done,
enjoy
girls.
it. I think sometimes when you do synchro, it can make the events a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's always nice to have someone there next to you.
Yeah,
Because sometimes standing by yourself isn't
yeah,
the nicest
you
experience.
can get in your own head a lot in the individual events sometimes.
Yeah.
I think having someone there
calm you
alongside you,
down.
yeah, can always help. So our last dive of the event, Yasmin Harper and Catherine Torrance with a reverse 2.5 somersaults pike. Oh, that is beautiful from the girls.
Lovely.
Absolutely nailed
Those-
those entries.
Um,
72.9 points. Wow. 286, so they have pipped Grace and Scarlett to the second position. However, Deshaun and Amy still remain in the gold medal position with 291. So we'll get our results up on our screen. Here we go. Our champions, Deshaun and Amy, 291 points, which, as we've already mentioned, would have got a medal at the Europeans last year, which is a great score. Similar at the Olympics, actually. A
Yeah.
bronze medal got,
I don't
was
think
284.
Catherine and Yaz would have been too far off that bronze medal either.
yeah, 284 at the Olympics was the bronze medal. So both of our top 2 pairs would have actually got a medal with that score, which is very, very
That's
promising, isn't it?
That's so exciting.
Very strong pairs. And then, obviously, in third place, Grace and Scarlett, another new pair. So very promising stuff from our girls.
Yeah.
Fifth place, sorry,
Oh, sorry.
Maya and Callie in 5th place, and in 4th place, and in 5th place you have Tilly and Evie. So yeah, great event for the guys.
I just am amazed by the standard of that.
Yeah, especially for the first time out competing for a lot of those. So I mean, we can still see the scores on our scoreboard there. A nice 9 on the board for Yasmin Catherine's reverse 2.5 somersaults pike. So great event. James, thank you very much for joining me. I
Thank you
believe
for having me.
have to shoot down for your medal, don't you? So
Yes, I've got a medal
I'm going to have to let you go. I'm going to have to watch you get your medal from up here on the balcony.
I'll give you a
So
wave.
Congratulations for today and yesterday, and
Thank you
look
very
forward
much.
to watching your World Championships, Europeans, Commonwealths,
Oh.
hopefully this year.
Fingers crossed, fingers
it's
crossed.
a big year for all our divers. So thanks a lot for having us, James, and I'll let you go.
Thank you.
So we're just back to see our divers get their medals. James, of course, just joined us up in the commentary box. Back down there now to receive his bronze medal. Slight drop in his first 2 dives in today's event, but recovered amazingly with a great last 4 dives to still get a very good score of 421 points. Silver medalist Jack Law, of course, highly decorated, gold, silver and bronze at Olympic Games competitions, as well as many other World Championships, European Championships and World Series medals. But our champion today, Daniel Goodfellow from the city of Leeds, with a score of 462.9. Beat Jack by 2.05 to take the gold medal. So great diving from Dan. Finished off with a 95 point back 3.5, which clinched him the gold medal. So there are our medalists. So our junior medalist, Ollie Casley, takes the bronze from Southampton Diving Academy. Just missed out on that final, but dived very well, and obviously being a junior at this event, very encouraging for him. Our silver medalist, Leon Baker, also from Southampton. Been very impressed with him this weekend. 16 years old, but very strong, doing some hard dives on the 1 meter and the 3 meter. Great diving from Leon. And our junior champion from Dive London is Hugo Thomas. Some more great diving from another junior. All 3 of those boys looking very strong. They can keep progressing in the way that they are. We'll hopefully see them on the senior podium in years to come. And Jake Passmore as well, our guest. He's aiming to represent Ireland at the Commonwealth Games this year. So fingers crossed we get to see him in Birmingham later on in the year. So next up we have our women's platform final medalists. So some very good diving from the girls earlier on today. Of course, Tonya Couch joined me in the studio. With the bronze medal, Eden Cheng. So an amazing back 3.5 from her. Probably the dive of the competition. Great to see after this time 2 years ago, that dive didn't go quite to plan. So great recovery from her, and great to see her doing such a hard dive to that standard. In silver position, our Olympian from last year and European bronze medalist, Andrea Spendolini-Siriex. Score of 315.9, just 0.2 behind our British champion, Emily Martin from Dive London. Some great diving from Emily. Saw some great rip entries on some of those dives as well, which is what we love to see off that 10-metre board. So there are our 3 medalists. Our guest as well, Lois Tolson, doing that 5-metre back 2.5, which is the reason why she is the guest. Took the overall crown with a great score of 358.8. So if you can transfer that score with just the back 2.5 up to 10-metre, and the back 3.5, an extra 0.3 degree of difficulty on that as well. So extra risk, yes, but potential extra reward too. There are our senior medalists. We've also got our junior medalists down there too. So our bronze medalist, Chloe Johnson from City of Leeds. In the junior events. Hannah Newbrook as well. Silver medalist, doing some great stuff in the junior events last year. Transferring that to these national senior events too. So great to see that. And of course, still a junior, Andrea takes the gold junior medal too. So very impressive that she's still a junior, but now very experienced after the competitions that she did last year. With 2 medals around her neck now. So our last event of the day, the women's 3-metre synchro. Our bronze medalists, new pair in Dive London, Scarlett and Grace. Obviously the first time competing, 281, another good score. These girls will be aiming for scores around 300 and not far off that at all. Some great scores from the girls would be up there in the international world events from some competitions last year, so very impressive to see. Of course, we have the Commonwealth Games this year, and the home games. In the silver medal position, Yasmin and Catherine. And then our winners today, which has been our juniors as well last year, competing in the junior events for both these girls, and now stepping up on the senior national stage. So it's great to see from these two. Both very strong girls doing some hard dives on those 3 meters, but doing them very well. Our gold medalists, Deshawn and Amy. So that concludes our medals for today. We'll be back in the morning with the last two events of the weekend. We have the men's 10 metre, but the first event in the morning will be the women's 3 metre. So we will tune in back tomorrow. Thank you very much, and I hope you've enjoyed today's diving.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements, because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free.
Buy now at labara.co.uk.